FM Talk 1065, the Gulf Coast Weather Authority. The safety is off. There's a round in the chamber. This is Armed Alabama. Sponsored by McCoy Outdoor Company, Mobile's hometown full-line outdoor sporting products and gear store. An interactive talk show discussing self-defense, product reviews, shooting tips, safety, and more. Your calls, comments, and texts welcome at 343-0106. Now, here are your hosts, retired judge and certified NRA instructor Rusty Johnston and certified NRA law enforcement instructor Adam Strange.
They're gonna pry these guns right out of my hands when they come to take them away. I believe in the rights that my fathers gave me when he signed the Constitution that day. No misguided president or crooked politician with a greasy pocket be spared. When the hard-working man gets tired of your cry, it's gonna rain wrath, beware. Don't tread on me, I'm American free. You're not gonna take it away. I stand up to fight for my freedoms and rights. That's a price you'll have to pay. Don't tread on me, I'm American free. Red-blooded to the core. You ain't ever had a fight in your life like the fight that you're itching for.
Good evening. Welcome to Armed Alabama. This is Judge Rusty Johnston. I have the conn tonight. Adam Strange is out on business, so we'll have to make do without him. As most of you know, I'm a retired Alabama Circuit Court judge, NRA firearms instructor, member of the Alabama Bar for way too long. This show, Armed Alabama, is the only firearms-related FM radio talk show that originates here in the state of Alabama. And, of course, we originate from the studios of FM Talk 1065 in Mobile, Alabama. We talk about pistols, revolvers, shotguns, concealed carry, ammunition, self-defense training, and attacks on our God-given right to protect ourselves and our family. Just a bit of trivia on this date in 1793, and Charlie, you may remember that, 1793, Marie Antoinette was beheaded in Paris. And she allegedly had said before that, let them eat cake.
I thought she was an attractive-looking lady.
Exactly. She was, the daughter or granddaughter of the Emperor of Austria. Anyway, she was in that family. Interesting, mentioned Marie Antoinette. The other day, I was looking at statues. I put some up on the Facebook page. And by the way, we're simulcasting on Facebook Live right now. Go to the Armed Alabama FM Talk 1065, Armed Alabama Radio FM Talk 1065 site on Facebook. If you see kind of frozen picture, press it and it'll start playing. But Charlie, I was looking to see, I put up a bunch of Christopher Columbus statues that have been vandalized across the country, some with the axe in the head, it's just really class work. And I thought, I wonder how Napoleon is treated in France, because, arguably on the downside, I saw one figure that showed 5 million Europeans died because of the Napoleonic Wars. But he reformed the code and all. I counted, before I stopped counting, 73 Napoleon monuments in France. Didn't see any of them that had paint on them or anything like that. So that must be something unique to us to desecrate statues. And, statues are works of art. I don't care who they're of. If Harvard had put a statue up to Lenin, let's say in the 20s, which would probably be typical, I wouldn't say tear it down. It'd be an oddity, something to look at if you were in the neighborhood. But anyway, if you have any questions, comments, etc., you can call in or text in to 251-343-0106. That's 251-343-0106. You can also listen to us not only on Facebook or on the FM band. You can go to FM Talk's radio station site, and I think it's upper left-hand corner, it says play. You can also go to the Armed Alabama website and look for the Play Live Radio and listen to it there. In this program, you'll get no PC, no Marxism, and no progressivism. some topics may not be suitable for the delicate flowers out there, so they just need to wilt and probably move on. So sit back, have another sip of sweet tea or early times, or whatever your preference is, and we're going to have a show tonight since we don't have Adam tugging us down.
Judge, for the benefit of the folks on Facebook or who have not yet gone to Facebook, you have a table full of things you're going to share. It almost looks like a cooking show.
I got a number of things. If you're at home listening on the radio and can get on Facebook, why don't you? Because I've got a lot of show and tells here tonight that'll be interesting.
Well, give us a sneak preview.
Well,
what is some of that
stuff? For instance, I've got a number of less than lethal weapons here, probably 4 or 5. I have a gun that I bought in 1983 that I still have the receipt for, original receipt. So we'll compare that to inflation. I have a big old fire extinguisher. Story goes with that, but it's making the point there are more people killed from fires than are murdered. Fire is a big danger. Remember when all the talk was after the shooting in Texas, how horrible it was, which it was. That's when I looked up statistics and found out more people are killed in church fires than shot, because churches make a lot of meals and but it just doesn't make a big splash portraying that. I also want to remind everybody we're sponsored. One of our sponsors is Steve Moore's law firm. Steve is a great guy. He went to law school with me. He is a native Mobilian. He does personal injury work. So if you get hurt, odds are it could be negligence, and that's when you have a lawsuit. But you probably don't know that unless you talk to somebody. So you can call Steve Moore at 251-445-7601. Check him out on the web at www.moorelawfirm, that's all one word, -al.com, or just stop by at 8 North Dearborn Street in Mobile, and you can go by and see him open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And I always, what is personal injury? Now, guns are protected. They are protected by the Commerce and Firearms Act. But let's say, Charlie, I was fooling with this fire extinguisher, and the top just blew off and blew in my face and, took half the side of my face off. That would be probably some type of negligent action. You would look to see whether it was a negligent design or a negligent construction of it. It could be either. Negligent design doesn't matter how good you make it, your design is going to fail. Whereas construction is, hey, you forgot to put that half-inch thick metal there, and you put a 1/4 inch instead.
Or maybe somebody overcharged it, if that's possible.
There you go. So oftentimes, you just don't think of these things. And I saw many people when I was on the bench that would fall, and because of embarrassment, they wouldn't report it to anybody. And I always thought, how stupid. Then I went to a supermarket a few months later, and before I knew it, I was flat on my back. I couldn't get up quick enough from that.
Didn't want anybody to see you.
That's right. And the law generally is, if it's something on the floor that you could see, not a hidden trap or something, that you could see, then you're contributory negligent, because you're supposed to be looking out where you're going. But, it's not always evident like that. But I can understand now why people are embarrassed when they fall down. First thing I want to show everybody, Charlie, a lot of you have side lights that go by your front door. And they're still made. They're usually 3 panes of glass. They kind of weaken the structure of the door, but they make it light and airy. But the other thing it does is somebody can punch through there pretty easily and open your door. Or if you come to the door, point a pistol at you, open up. So what I did, I've talked about it last few weeks, I put a opaque type film on the side lights first, because they're just panes of glass. And then I covered each of, actually, their group of 3, with 1/4 inch Lexan. Now, Lexan, if you got it, it'll scratch easy, but it shouldn't be scratched there. It is 250 times stronger than glass, 50 times stronger than plexiglass. Now, this is just a scrap I had from it, but you'd be hard-pressed to beat through there with a hammer. And the idea isn't, obviously, to make it bulletproof. The idea is that, one, if somebody wants to get through those windows, they're going to wake somebody up. And then, 2, if my wife goes to the door, she'll know who's there because I've got a camera on it, but it won't be a guy pointing a gun at you, because that would be pretty intimidating. So Lexan's good for a lot of things. It's easy to work with and helps with security.
Can you buy that at most hardware stores?
Yeah, you can. When you get to kind of bigger sizes, you may have to order it, but pretty much can. Now, we're going to go to a break. Remember, 251-343-0106. And when we come back, I'm going to show you this 1983 Smith & Wesson 639 and the receipt and what I paid for it. So we'll kind of see what gun prices have done over the years. Also, an AR-15 bought in 85. I've got the receipt for. We'll be back in about 3 minutes with Armed Alabama.
Program is a production of Armed Alabama, LLC. The comments and views of the hosts are those of Armed Alabama, LLC, for which it is solely responsible. The view and comments of the callers, guests, and texters do not necessarily represent the views of the sponsors or advertisers of Armed Alabama, LLC, or of Armed Alabama, LLC, Bigler Broadcasting, LLC, FM Talk 1065, or WAVH. No comments from Judge Rusty Johnston should be taken as legal advice, but as educational information. Judge Johnston is not engaged in the practice of law and should not be sought out to answer legal questions off the air. Seek legal advice from a qualified attorney who knows the complete specifics of your legal matter.
Step up to the firing line. Armed Alabama is back. Questions, comments, and texts at 343-0106.
Hey, Judge, I think we're back.
We're back. First thing I want to show y'all, and then I want to answer a text. This, if you're on Facebook, you can see it. If not, I'll describe it. What I'm showing you is what's called a Smith & Wesson 639. It was a part of their 39, later 49 series of 9mm. This was the one that is not double stacked.
So that was a model number and had no reference to the caliber.
Right. They were the first kind of law enforcement military 9mm. Has a nice wooden handle on it. I usually change that out for a rubber grip. But interesting, I found the receipt, and it was bought in 82, and the cost at Max Bait Shop, Tuscaloosa, anybody interested, $299.95.
And that was in 82?
In 82.
That was a pretty fair amount of money.
And here is what $299.82 would be worth today. It would be worth $784.
Wow.
Which is probably kind of what you could buy. They don't have this gun, but a similar type gun. And you'd have to look at metal, because this is metal. Stainless steel, for those of you on the radio.
Well, for collectors, that might be actually worth more now than it was then.
It might. Now, God, this doesn't look like it, but this was a early 80s Colt AR-15. Now, I made it into a carbine a few years ago, but I have the original receipt from Confederate Ordnance. Some of y'all may remember it, down on Government Street. And it's a Colt AR-15 A2 Sporter, and it costs $625. And the interesting thing about that is today, $625 would cost, way too far back. It's going to be close.
It's tough when you have to scroll around on the screen sometimes.
Yeah, 1,463. And this was, they only made one or two models. You can certainly get a...
and what year was that?
85. Yeah,
I think in 85, my house note was probably under $100 a month.
The whole reason for it is my wife says, Bruce Springsteen is coming to Mobile to a concert. Would you take me? I said, I'll take you if you don't give me any lip about buying this AR-15 I've been looking at. So I bought the AR-15, and Bruce Springsteen never came to Mobile.
Well, you made out like a bandit.
I did. Last but not least, I found my receipt for a VCR recorder player, you know, what we all used to have, from 1983 from Star Video, along with my lifetime membership in the video club. and it was $499.
Wow.
So it's going the other way, and that would probably cost $69 if you could.
And anybody listening that doesn't know what a VCR is, do you have your mom's permission to listen to this show?
Exactly. We're going to get to Mike in just a second. Let me just read this text pretty quick. Dad passed away, and my mom's living alone, and there's been an uptick in crime lately, so I'm trying to protect her any way I can. Mom has the same setup with the windows by the door. This week, I drew out a design for a remote-controlled pepper spray device triggered by the camera. Her system came with the option for external speaker on it. I would not do that.
I don't like any automatic thing like that.
Well, first of all, the odds are it's going to sit out there 2 or 3 years, corrode, not work. But, when do you deploy it? Now, as long as you're deploying it with a button, it's not like the trap gun that you've gone away from home. But do you deploy it when somebody's just yelling at the door, let me in? I mean, most of those people are con men. They knock on the door. Is anyone home? I'm selling Girl Scout cookies or whatever. I would try to harden it, and I meant to bring some of my hardening devices. That listen next week, and or check also the Facebook page. I'll put them on there because I've got a lot of good devices. It's better to harden that door because they may just go to another door. Okay, we got Mike on the phone. Looks like maybe he's a Grand Bay. I can't quite.
Yeah, Grand Bay.
Hey, Mike.
How's it going?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing all right. I got an aunt in the funeral home tonight.
Oh,
over
I hate
in
to hear
Baldwin
that.
County.
Hate to hear that.
Yes, my dad went to represent us and the family, and I just decided not to go.
That's even better, isn't
really
it?
have accommodations over that way.
That's right.
But anyway, I'm going to tell you a story that is absolutely true, and it would never happen these days.
Right.
I'm 54 years old, so it was about 1978, or I was about in the 10th grade, and we had a show and tell type day in our English class, where we could come and show how to do something in our class. And you there?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
listening. I know what you're going to say, but I'm not going to
we're
do the
anyway.
story.
Just listening, Mike.
Yes, we had a show and tell day. And I went by the principal's office to ask him permission, and I figured he wouldn't let me do it. But anyway.
Rifle or pistol?
I had bought a CVA Derringer, a Philadelphia Derringer, sort of like Lincoln was killed by.
There you go, yeah.
I think his was a 41 caliber, and the one I bought was a 45 caliber.
Yeah.
I mean, the Boost gun was a 41 caliber, in other words.
Right.
But anyway, the one I bought was a 45 caliber, and it wasn't put together. So I wanted to ask the permission to go in my class with that gun and show how to put it together.
Yeah.
And I was very surprised. The principal, this would never happen nowadays. The principal told me, he said, son, I don't care really. He said, but you, just as long as you don't take the firing pin, in which we all know that the percussion, guns didn't have a firing pin, actually. It had the little nipple.
Yeah.
So I just left the nipple thing at home and went in my class and showed how to put it together. Now, that wouldn't happen nowadays.
It wouldn't, and it's very similar. The late Justice Scalia told the story. It would have been sometime maybe in the 50s. He went to a military school in New York City, if you can imagine, and he was on the rifle team, used real rifles, and he said every day he took his rifle on the subway to school, and nobody gave him a second look. And he said his goal was that people would once again regard guns as being normal and not something that mass killers use.
Well, there were rifles and shotguns in the pickup trucks.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of our friends in high school.
Absolutely.
And I don't remember if I brought any of that, but I'm going to tell on myself now.
Mm-hmm.
I got another story. That was in Baldwin County, Alabama.
Yeah.
Baldwin County High School. Now, I moved to Pascagoula in about 1980 182 school year.
Yeah.
Now, I probably did do something. Might have been looked on as very, very
statute of limitations is run.
But let me tell you, I watched this Western. You might remember the one I'm talking about where this guy was acting like a preacher.
Yeah.
He reached in his Bible and pulled out the little Derringer while he was preaching.
Because I've got a book like that.
Dead, and he was really a bad guy. Well, anyway, a friend of mine had a little 25 automatic, semi, and it didn't have the clip, but I'm talking about, I shouldn't have done it, but the idea came to my head about that movie.
Yeah.
And so I carved the pages out of a book with a razor blade. I hope I'm not causing any students to try to do this.
Oh, I got a book that a clerk in the state of Alabama, he kind of makes them on the side out of old Alabama codes.
But I carved that book and I glued each page together where it'd be a solid mass all the way around the hole.
Yeah.
And my buddy brought me that little 25 automatic, and I put it in the little book and just put it in the locker in the school. And when the last bell rang, boy, I was hoping I wouldn't get caught. But on the last bell, when it rung, all I did is just like nothing to it. I just went to my locker, opened it up, and got that textbook and put it in the middle of some of the other textbooks and went on out the door and went home. And the crazy thing, I can't believe this part either. I never fired that pistol.
Yeah.
But guess what happened? This is how guns can get spread around to people that probably shouldn't have them.
Got to hurry now. I got 30 seconds.
All right. Well, a boy that was in school with me, he traded me a 30-30 lever action Winchester Model 97 for that dang little gun.
Oh, you got the better end of that deal.
You ain't lying, and I don't have either one of them anymore, but I'm just telling you. But anyway, I'm going to get off here.
Hey, listen, next week I'm going to bring a book like you're talking about that I got at my house, all right?
I'll tell you what, that was wrong what I done. And I
know. I'm not encouraging it, but you can hide stuff in your house in these kind of books, too.
Oh, right.
Thank you for calling. We got to take a break now. Bottom of the hour, Armed Alabama. Remember, if you have a question, text, whatever, 251-343-0106.
Step up to the firing line. Armed Alabama is back. Questions, comments, and texts at 343-0106.
Little pigs, let me come in. Not by the hair on your chinny chin chin. Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in. Here's Johnny.
You would have the right to shoot through the door at Johnny because you know who he is, and it's pretty obvious he's going to kill you. Want to give a big shout out to Johnny Sullivan, who got my hair cut so I don't look like Howard Hughes anymore, and also the fire crew from the Spring Hill Fire Station. I wakened the other day from a nap to see. Oh, it looked like a riot. I thought in fact, I asked one of the police officers, is there an active shooter here? Because there were 2 or 3 fire trucks. There was a paramedic, 2 police cars, and my lovely wife was cooking, and the fire kind of got out of the grill and caught onto all the magnolia leaves in the backyard, which were nice and tender. But one thing I want to point out, a lot of you, I've been pushing safe rooms. And this is a little larger than normal, but that's what you ought to have. Have one of these hanging in your safe room or in your closet because
fire extinguisher is what you're holding.
Exactly. Thank you for the radio. And this is a 4-pound fire extinguisher.
That'll spray a lot. Won't it?
You'd be amazing. The usual ones are what, 1.5 pounds, maybe 2. They will discharge it all if you're using it because they're not good for a second shot, but they'll usually squirt out of there in 5-8 seconds, something like that. So if you have anything substantial, I think this is about $40 or something like that. But that's one of the things you ought to have in addition to a phone, some type of weapon in there. And if somebody requires, medical treatment, like somebody has heart problems, would have their medicine in there too. But what I have here, for those of you on the listen on the radio, and I'll describe it, is some non-lethal weapons, or less than lethal. That's what we call them, because anything in theory could be lethal if you wanted to use it. This is the Gen 1, first thing I'm holding, that breaks open kind of like a Derringer or shotgun, but it is the Mace pepper spray gun. All Mace products, I'm not sure which they have in right now, you can get at one of our sponsors, McCoy Outdoors. In addition to guns, you can get Mace. Don't use bear spray. Bear spray is not as strong as the regular pepper spray that you use, because the government doesn't want anybody hurting bears. You can just look on the ingredients, but a lot of people get it because it shoots far. Well, one of these I'm going to show you, this is the pepper gel here. This is the self-contained unit. That'll shoot 18 feet. So that's doing pretty good, and it's a gel.
That'd be good for maybe joggers, too.
Yeah, exactly. And it also has a UV component, so if somebody's sprayed and police catch them, that wasn't me, you can put a UV light on them, and it doesn't prove it was them, but it proves they got squirted with some. This is the next generation of the pepper spray gun. You're probably not going to be able to spray it, and I won't spray the camera, but what I want to show you is they have water canisters to practice with, because nobody really knows how these things are going to work.
And it's the same size as the pepper spray canister. You just interchange them.
Exactly, and you have the same canisters. You have holsters you can wear this in, which you ought to, because you want to get it fast. The red, obviously, is the OC spray, and that's bad stuff. But I'll try to squirt this in a way that perhaps the
you might want to duck, Barbara.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you were going to give her a shot. Oh, yeah.
Can you see it? Okay. It shoots pretty far.
And that gives you an opportunity to see just how much aiming you have to do.
Yeah, just, squirt in the face. Now, let's say you're at home and you're messing around and you get squirted. Might be a good idea to buy, I guess it's called Sudocon, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but this is the antidote. Now, your eyes are still going to get burned, but this will help counteract.
So what do? Rub that on your face?
Yeah, you rub it and squeeze the juice out into your eyes.
Yeah.
Because it really hurts. Now, one more pepper spray product. This may be going real far. I've studied the South African home invasions. They get a lot of crime there. And let's say you have your safe room set up. People are coming in your house. You run in your safe room, bolt the doors down, etc. But before you go in your safe room, you take this off. It's like a bug bomb. Remember I'm sure they still sell them. And you press the top, and it's just like the bug bomb. You roll it out in your hallway, and it will put a pepper spray fog about 1,000 square feet of your house. Unless they're really mercenaries coming in that have gas masks and all, that'll probably run them out of your house. And, if you can remember, it still wouldn't kill you, but put a towel under your door. Won't get on you, but it'll get on them. Now, I've showed you this before. This can be certainly is a tactical baton, telescopic baton, steel. Now, you don't want to hit anybody in the head with that. That's a deadly weapon.
I wanted to ask you a question. I noticed you sort of snapped your wrist.
There you go.
And the thin part of the baton swung out from the handle.
That's what saved my dog one time, because I could snap that. And
well, when you snap it, though, does it lock in place?
It's locked, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you have to hit it on the ground pretty much to go back together.
Okay.
But this is really, there are two ways to use it. One is for striking the thighs down in that area.
Yep.
And then another is to use it like this to push people over. It's got a lot of uses. It's pretty good if you're walking too and dogs are bothering you, because I have tried shooting at dogs with pepper spray, and they always seem to jump out of the way at the last minute. So just watch out for them. But I know there are people with moral issues about killing. One argument I've always given, someone I know is very religious, and And they say, no, I would never kill anybody breaking into my house. And I said, now, even if it was the Jack Nicholson character chopping through the door, screaming, I'm going to kill you, you would not do anything. No, I wouldn't pick up a gun, wouldn't hurt them. I'd call 911. I said, well, let's assume 911 could get there.
Within 30 seconds.
Yeah. So what you're saying is you wouldn't mind a 27-year-old police officer to come out and kill the burglar for you and let him have all that guilt or what bad feelings ride on him. Or what if he gets hurt in the process or killed? Are you going to help raise his children? So, it's pretty disingenuous to say, well, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to call my hired hand who's going to come out and kill the person for me.
Judge, I think sometimes people take that kind of position when they really haven't thought it through.
Right.
It's just sort of a knee-jerk reaction. No, exactly I don't want to hurt anybody.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And listen, I don't want to either.
Of course, you never know exactly what you're going to do in that situation.
That's right. There are many, and I would say most, but the statistics aren't good. Many crimes are averted by someone, a law-abiding citizen, just producing their firearm. And that's not brandishing. Brandishing is pulling out a gun with intent of frightening people, scaring the community. If a criminal's attacking you, you certainly have the right to pull out your firearm. But so many times they'll run off. If that ever happens to you, and I know it's happened to a bunch of people I know, call the police after the criminal runs away. A couple of reasons to do it. The most striking reason is there was somebody that was getting ready to rob, rape, kidnap you, and you stopped it, but you didn't stop him. He's going to pick another victim. And this is a very unlikely chance of somebody calling the police on you and saying, hey, I went up to this law-abiding citizen and he just pulled a gun on me. Now, the odds of that happening are tremendous because most criminals have got a record a mile long.
Sure.
But that's another reason, main reason being you want to catch this person. You're safe, but will your neighbor be safe later on? And Charlie, I found the statistics we've been talking about. Everybody, rightly so, is concerned about school shootings or mass shootings in general.
Sure.
There are an average of 100 mass shootings per year since '82. That's all of them, not only schools. Schools would probably be a tenth of that. So 100 a year. Well, there's 600 people killed per year in this country from falling off ladders. 400 and something people killed from falling down the steps or stairs. Mm-hmm. So sometimes we get focused in and spend a lot of resources. I mean, when's the last time you saw a governor on National Ladder Safety Week warning people about falling off ladders? I doubt it's ever happened.
And telling the legislature we got to enact some anti-ladder laws.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But people that kind of know about ladders know what I'm talking about. Years ago they switched from, you can still buy them, but higher-end ladders switched to fiberglass. And one of the reasons was so many people got electrocuted, metal ladders on electric wires. Well, fiberglass didn't help out a lot because a lot of people working around the power lines thought, hey, this is electricity proof. I can just lay it on the power lines now. And, nothing's that electricity proof. You get enough electricity in it. So you never know about those things. But we live in one of the safest times we live in the safest time in history. And we complain about the government or regulations or whatever. We don't have steel dashboards anymore, I'm sure you remember.
Right.
Everything inside used to be steel. I remember my father going and having seatbelts put in a car of ours, before they were required. So, a lot's changed, and we griped about it at the time, but I think it's changed for the better. And listen, guns in general are a lot better too, a lot safer. Blow up. They've got good records, and if you need a gun, get down to McCoy's. They got everything you could possibly want down there, including these various pepper spray devices and non-lethal stuff. If you have a quick question, give us a call, 251-343-0106, here on the Armed Alabama Show. If you call that number, you can also text in a quick question, and I'll try to answer it before the end of the show. And remember, all these archives are on our Facebook, on our website, www.armedalabama.com. We've almost got 3 years of free archives that you can download and listen to in the car, which is a lot better than listening to classical music.
Step up to the firing line. Armed Alabama is back. Questions, comments, and texts at 343-0106.
What we've got here is failure to communicate. Some men you just can't reach. So you get what we had here last week, which is the way he wants it. Well, he gets it. And I don't like it any more than you, man.
He doesn't speak quite fast. So, Rusty Johnson back with Armed Alabama. We had a question about the brands of these various things. McCoy's should have or be able to get everything I'm showing you, because I'm not sure what they have in the inventory.
On the pepper spray guns.
But one thing I'm going to tell you, it's Mace brand pepper spray gun. Mace is old-fashioned tear gas. I'm not sure anybody sells Mace anymore, but they kept the name Mace pepper spray gun, and that's the latest gen. This is the first gen. They actually had a 1A or 1B that was plastic like this. If you see that for sale, you don't want it. These are $40, something like that. Now, the bomb, that is from an Amazon company, and I can't tell you the name, but it's several people make it. It's Fox, and they make a lot of pepper spray products. This is called Fox Law Enforcement Formula Fog, and of course, it's not restricted to law enforcement. You just got to be careful. It's like a bug.
So this is in a canister. This is not for a pistol.
Yeah, right. You take that top off, and it's
Fox
like a bug bomb.
5.3.
Yeah, it's like a bug bomb. And, of course, the fire extinguisher, I think they pronounce it Kita. And
it says it contains capsaicin. Isn't that the stuff in hot peppers?
Yeah, that's it. It's real concentrated, Mexican peppers or something like that. Want to also thank, just heard it said, Dr. Justin Foster and Foster Chiropractic, Tillman's Corner. If you get a bad back or something aching in your muscles or joints, go see him, and he is on Rangeline Road. Want to thank again Steve Moore and his law firm. If you need anything related to personal injury law, check out Steve. Go down and visit him for free consultation. I understand it's a record high today, so if your air is about to go, call Hanson Heating and Air. They can come check you out. You can also make an appointment on the internet. I've looked at that.
This is perfect time for servicing because colder weather is just around the corner.
Yeah. And, of course, our Spring Hill, our Ace Hardware store, Spring Hill, Moffett Road in Creola. It's not too late for a hurricane or to think about next year. Get your stuff now. And Mike Ward's Liberty Safes. Those are great safes. But I want to say something about them. Of course, Mike Ward's Liberty Safe is at Moffett at the interstate, service road. Don't put all your guns in your safe. As I always try to say, hey, if you stay in your family room most of the time, have you a gun back there? Because having, if you just have one gun, that's fine. But if most people have 5 or 6 different guns, have one where you normally are, because it's not going to do you any good back in your bedroom. I want to thank Matt Green in his law office. Go see him for anything you need. And have I missed anybody? I talked about McCoy. I've still got to get them on the air. If you need an alarm installed or a camera installed, you want to see Hunter Security. I just finished doing that. The law allows a homeowner to do it themselves. But let me tell you, it's pretty hard to do. Most people don't want to, especially in this hot weather, climb under their house and put wiring in and all that. So call Hunter Security. They're a locally owned and operated company. Most of the alarm companies, they make money by getting accounts. And when you call them, you're calling somebody in Nebraska or wherever. So see Hunter Security for all your security needs. And the other thing I want to talk about, too, is when I just finished this series on home hardening on Matt Canovy's show up in Springfield, The Gun Show. That's 8 o'clock every Saturday morning. You can get it online if you want. But one of the things we talked about is when you harden your home, and that's not really a term of art, just a word we use, you try to do it in concentric circles. You start with your yard. Now, yard could mean having a dog out there or trimming your bushes or having a light that is movement activated. They even have alarms that are movement activated for your driveway. Then the next thing you want to do is front door, back door, windows, lock them first of all, and then replace those hinge screws that are 3/4 of an inch. I just bought some hinges with as long as you can get. Most of the time it's 2.5, 3.5 inches, but screw them in with that. And then next week I'm going to show you these. They're kind of similar to the old barrel bolts, every old gas station would have on their bathroom, but they're 8 inches. They go in the top of your door and the bottom. But locking it's probably one of the keys. It's amazing how many homes are burglarized. Difference between burglary and robbery is this. A burglary is where someone comes in with the intent to commit a felony. The felony can be rape, a theft, anything, arson. A robbery is where someone uses force or the threat of force to take your property. Now, you can have a robbery in a home. You're sitting there watching TV. All of a sudden, a guy comes in, points a gun, and says, "Give me all your morphine. I know you have cancer. Give me all your morphine." That's a robbery, but it could be a burglary too. But so many people will say, "Gosh, I went away for a week and my home was robbed." Well, that's not correct. It was burglarized. Mm-hmm. And the penalty for burglary 1 and robbery 1 is exactly the same, but it's fairly specific. Nobody's going to laugh at you, but that's what it is, burglary. Robbery, force, or the threat of force. Somebody can have a finger in their jacket pointing like a gun and say, "I'm going to kill you if you don't produce, whatever they want, your wallet," or something like that. So robbery, they're both very bad crimes, and it's amazing how many they are juveniles, but 15, 16, 17-year-olds I tried and or sentenced for robbery. I couldn't begin to count that many. And it's just insane. I mean, I can always understand a hungry person shoplifting, but I had very few of that. Most people are shoplifting whatever the popular item of the day is. They're not shoplifting milk and bread. They're shoplifting the expensive stuff that they can get away with. I want to read to you one quick thing. The Constitution starts out in the preamble by saying, "We the people." Well, when it was introduced in Virginia, Patrick Henry stood up and said, "We the people, how dare you? Who are you to speak for the people?" Well, the original wording of that, before it was changed by the Committee of Style, was "We the people of the state of Virginia, New York, Pennsylvania," and it named all the states, which is really correct. The story is they were concerned, well, what states are going to ultimately ratify the convention? So we'll just put "we the people." Now, people like Abe Lincoln and folks in later times used that term, "we the people," to show, well, the states didn't have anything to do with it, and that's completely incorrect. States had ratifying conventions at every one of the states, and those records, you can get them online. They're very interesting to read if you ever want to really look into the history and go there. The ratifying debates in the state conventions.
All 13 did ratify ultimately.
Well, yeah, Rhode Island being the last, about, a year and a half later.
Oh, stubborn Rhode Island.
Some have great records. Some have little to no records.
Yeah.
But they're very complete to show that the federal government is not supposed to have the power it has now. We will see you next week on Armed Alabama.